So guys, once again, if you can, please subscribe to the channel and please hit the like button on this video. So guys, a man was driving top of the range cars, going on luxury holidays and staying in expensive hotels. Harminder Gill, he was living the lifestyle of a famous footballer and he had it all, but there was just one problem with him. The 27-year-old was funding it all by stealing hundreds of thousands of pounds from his employer. He enjoyed the high life of sports cars and private suites at London Shard for 2 years before his scam was discovered. His role in the payroll department allowed him to siphon off cash from the company he worked for in Warwickshire to his own accounts. He exploited a glitch in the system, transferring funds to 6 separate accounts he set up before using it to fund a luxury lifestyle. In total, he stole £350,000 from his bosses, and in an attempt to cover his tracks, he sent some cash to the accounts in the name of family members without their knowledge. But detectives said after starting off transferring small amounts to avoid suspicion, he became too greedy, which is what always happens, and ultimately it led to his downfall. Gill made 181 transactions between May 2019 and October 2021, with the largest transaction being over £30,000. He wasted no time splashing that cash. He was hiring executive cars. He spent £40,000 jetting out his family on holiday to Ibiza. Gill was also staying at the Shard, where he frequently hired out suites to impress his pals. However, he was only caught out after a member of staff at the company complained of not being paid 1 month and an audit of the payroll system was carried out. It was found there were 3 bank accounts in Gill's name and the fraud was uncovered, and the party was ultimately over. Gill was jailed for 4.5 years at Warwick Crown Court after previously admitting fraud. Detective Constable Kevin Usher from Warwickshire Police CID said Gill was brazenly stealing his money from his employer and using it to portray an image of wealth to everyone who knew him. He was a high roller and the reality couldn't have been further from the truth. He started off small, but like many offenders like this, he became greedy and now he's left with nothing and facing a lengthy prison sentence that he fully deserves. Following the sentencing, the CPS said Gill had abused his position to commit extremely serious fraud offences. A representative from the CPS said Mr. Gill committed a serious offence when he took advantage of his employer, causing a loss of more than £340,000 to fund his luxury lifestyle. His offending continued for a period of 2 years, and his actions show that he deliberately diverted transactions to his own accounts and those of his family members without their knowledge or consent. And as today's sentencing shows, the CPS will not tolerate those who abuse their positions of trust to make gain for themselves, and Mr. Gill has now received a sentence that reflects the seriousness of his offending. And in this next news story, a man who attacked someone in his home with hair clippers before stealing his mobile phone has been jailed. Great Manchester Police said Mark Spencer would prey on the most vulnerable. The 47-year-old targeted his victim at a flat in Hume, and the court heard how Spencer was inside the property in February this year before striking. Spencer pinned the man down and attacked him with the hair clippers, injuring his head. He went on to steal the victim's phone. Spencer pleaded guilty to robbery and Section 47 assault at Manchester Crown Court, and he was sentenced to 5 years and 2 months in prison. Detective Inspector Natalie MacDonald of Great Manchester Police's City of Manchester Central CID has welcomed the sentencing. Spencer is a bully who preys on the most vulnerable within communities, using fear, intimidation and violence to commit his offences, and I'm sure his sentence will be welcomed by many people. So guys, in this next news story, a prison officer was caught on CCTV taking holdalls filled with drugs into cells. Peter Hughes was seen on CCTV entering HMP Liverpool carrying the bag just before his shift began on the 25th of April 2020. The 32-year-old from Birkenhead was then seen entering an inmate cell and leaving 20 seconds after with an empty bag. This came after staff had noticed a surge in drugs inside the prison. Staff carried out cell searches on one of the wings where they found contraband including mobile phones, SIM cards, the drug spice, steroids and tobacco. North West Regional Organised Crime Unit launched an investigation into Hughes after analysing the CCTV footage. Following this, Hughes was arrested at his home on the 28th of April 2020, where officers recovered a large amount of steroids, needles, syringes, wipes, and a quantity of cash. Hughes pleaded guilty to misconduct in public office, possession of Class C drugs with intent to supply, and conveying Class C drugs into HMP Liverpool while he worked as a prison officer between October 2017 and April 2020. And on Friday, the ex-prison officer was jailed for 4 years at Liverpool Crown Court after a joint investigation between the North West Regional Organised Crime Unit's Anti-Corruption Unit, a Majesty's Prison, Probation Services Counter-Corruption Units, and HMP Liverpool. Detective Constable Brian Johnson of the North West Regional Organised Crime Unit said, "The conveyance of any prohibited articles into prison presents a risk to both staff and prisoners. Drugs in prison have a detrimental effect on the good order and discipline of the establishment and can be linked to instances of violence, self-harm, bullying and debt." Hughes was financially benefiting from taking drugs into prison, which enabled him to live a lavish lifestyle with multiple holidays abroad, a 10,000 wedding and trips abroad to have various surgery done, all paid for with his ill-gotten gains. We want to reassure the honest, dedicated and hard-working prison staff that we will continue to act against any member of staff who chooses to engage in corrupt activity. A man could have died after being stabbed in the leg on the stairs of his flat in a row believed to be just over £100. The victim, in his 50s, was at home with his partner when he heard banging from downstairs. He went to see what was happening and was confronted by another man, Aaron Jones. He found the 21-year-old had walked into the stairway through a broken door. Preston Crown Court heard the man walk down the stairs to speak to Jones, and the younger man lunged towards him, punching him to his forearm. Jones has now been sentenced to 12 months in custody for the attack. As the man called his partner, he noticed Jones was carrying a knife. The man's partner picked up a metal pole to fight Jones off, but the youngster lunged towards the older man's stomach with the knife. The man fell down the stairs and Jones stabbed his left thigh through his jeans. As he ran from the hallway, he dropped the knife but stopped to pick it up again before riding away on his bike. John Close, the prosecutor, said, "What lay behind this remains somewhat opaque. The victim says he knew the defendant but not well. He believes it may be to do with the payment of £100 he made to a third party, but the reason is a matter of speculation." The man suffered a 5-centimetre long stab wound to his thigh, which was treated with glue at Blackpool Victoria Hospital. He said, "The incident really scared me. I was worried for my own life and my partner's safety too. I wouldn't normally involve the police in my life, but I felt I had to because of the seriousness of what happened. I haven't been stabbed before and it really shook me up. If the knife had gone through a major artery, I could have been dead." In a victim impact statement, the man said he no longer feels safe going out of the house and puts off visiting friends or going to the shop. He said since the attack he has fitted an alarm and doorbell camera to his home. So Jones pleaded guilty to Section 20 wounding and appeared at Preston Crown Court to be sentenced. His defence said he had a troubled upbringing and had spent time in the care system before joining the armed forces. However, he suffered mental health problems and had to leave the army, finding himself homeless on the streets of Blackpool. At the time of the offence, Jones believed the man owed him £100 and was out of desperation he went to try and get it back. He now realises it was an incredibly dangerous and stupid thing to do, to take a knife with him. The recorder said fortunately the wound only required glue and closure strips. If you had hit his femoral artery, your petty argument over £100 could have been a whole lot worse. It's left a psychological mark on your victim's well-being. So as I said, he sentenced Jones to 12 months custody less any time he has spent on remand. So guys, there's a few stories for you. It's your boy GT. Keep it locked, keep it real.